One. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook. So you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one size fits all approach, just real answers, deep rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now on to the show. Hello, hello, Kathy.
How are
I am
you?
so excited to bring Kathy on the show because Kathy is a menopause specialist. And I know we have many listeners that are so going to benefit from this conversation, whether you are in perimenopause and menopause or just curious about this transition. She helps women really feel their best. She uses nutrition, training, lifestyle, and mindset work to really just bring a lot of clarity and help to so many of these women that really need your services. So she's personally gone through a perimenopause journey and a menopause journey that she's going to tap on a little bit here. So I can't wait to dive in and have her share all of her wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me on, Shannon. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of open the floor to you, Kathy. Share a little bit about kind of who you are, your journey, and then we'll kind of dive in from there.
Sure. I am 57. I am married. I have two kids that are, can you believe it, 26 and 24? But um, and I have always been kind of a gym rat, and I was a spin instructor and spending lots of time in the gym. And perimenopause kicked my ass.
A lot of people, I'm sure,
I
resonate.
So this was 10 years ago. Nobody was talking about menopause like they are now. And I had no idea what was happening to me. So it just came out of nowhere. And I think this is a lot of women's experience.
Yeah.
They're just unprepared for what's going to happen. So hopefully this comes to somebody before they're actually going through the change, because there's so much that you can do to help yourself, but there's also so much that you can do while you're actually in it. So I guess first things is symptoms,
Yeah.
and I think as we go through, and you've probably had this experience with clients, that it becomes normal. So like feeling like tired and just not having energy, and it's just your age, and it's just normal. And we start to accept these things like that's just what happens. And it doesn't help that the doctor is like, it's your age, or
Yeah.
that's what's happening. And so when I was 47, I am a chronic dieter. Okay. I'm a recovered chronic dieter. So I think literally I was on, so my second born, when she was born in 2000, I was on a diet until 2019.
Oh
So
my goodness.
on and off, so I would be able to lose 5 pounds, and then it would come back, and then it would lose, and then it would come back, and then it was 7, and it was 10, and then it was 12. And as I went through this, so I was in my 30s, as I'm getting into my 40s, like it's becoming harder to lose this weight, and I'm gaining more. So it's taking more effort to take that weight off, and it's coming back faster. And I'm like, what is going on? And so what do we do as women?
Oh, we want to control it harder and go harder. We need to be working out. It's our willpower, obviously.
Yeah.
Wrong.
And that was exactly what I did. I doubled down on workouts. Like I said, I was a spin instructor. I increased my class load. I then started, and I had always done different approaches and bought a bunch of bullshit supplements, and like, there's so many brands. And when it didn't work, like I would be like, because I bought it on sale, it's like I need to spend more money. So I went through that whole thing. And then of course we have all the protocols, and at that time it was keto
Mm. Mm.
and intermittent fasting. And so let's just do those two things together. Let's have a bulletproof coffee. We'll call that intermittent fasting. I won't eat until and do spin class and do a workout and do all kinds of stuff. Get home and wait until it's 1 o'clock to eat. And it was just crazy. So I went through that whole thing where it would work, right? I would do keto and it would work, and then it
Yeah.
wouldn't work. I would do intermittent fasting and then it wouldn't work. So why wouldn't I combine the two, you know?
Yeah.
And I got to a point where, and this was when I was 47, 48, where I started losing my hair. I
Mhm.
was incredibly tired. I would get home and I'm waiting for to eat, and I would just fall asleep and like wake up just exhausted. I was like, hello, let's eat. And then my kids would come home and I'm like, my God, what are you doing here? Like I gotta cook for you and like interact with you. It was dark times. It was dark times.
Yeah.
But I was just so fatigued. And then like around 9 o'clock, I could finally drag my ass through, get everything settled. And then by 9 o'clock, like finally it's my time and I'm wired. And now I can't go to sleep, but so exhausted. And so I worked myself up into an adrenal issue for
Yeah.
sure. And I started losing a ton of hair. My just everything just changed. My body odor changed. I was sweating from head to whenever I would do a spin class, I would be soaked. It wasn't like I could just, oh, let me clean up real quick and
Yeah.
I'll go to work. It was like I needed to have a full-on shower. And food intolerances. So things that
Mhm.
I used to be able to have, like I just could not have
Mm.
anymore. And so it really put me through the ringer. And then of course, the one that gets everybody's attention, right, is this belly fat in this like what is going on? Because that is a real thing. So
Yeah.
um, and then of course, just try harder, eat less, and it was just a vicious cycle. And finally, by the time I was 49, I was getting ready to turn 50, and I said, "Oh my God, if I don't get this figured out, like I know when you turn 50, you're going to go into menopause, right? That's no, we didn't know, right?
Yep.
That's what happens, and then you're really going to get that menopause belly." I'm like, okay, so I need to do something about this. So before I turned 50, I reached out to a coach. I threw a Hail Mary pass and I said, if this doesn't work, then I'm just going to have to accept that I'm just going to be fat. And I'm like, when I say
Mhm.
fat, like 25 pounds, right? I wasn't obese by any
Yep.
means, but I'm 5'4". And so on a normally, like I would say 130 pound frame, I was carrying an extra 25 pounds. So it was quite quite the journey to get there and just exhausting. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And I said, I can't do it anymore. I have to accept that this is just the way that it is. And
Yeah.
I really had to have like a come to Jesus moment with myself and have that conversation and be like, what are you doing? Because we can't continue to do this anymore. And
Yeah.
then literally, so I accepted it. And then 15 minutes later, I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, I can't, like, that's just not me. Like, I know I would not be, I can't sit there and say, I'm going to be happy to just let myself go. But
Yeah.
it didn't even feel like I was letting myself go. It's just, I couldn't get things to move, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that was really the thing. That was the conversation. Do you just let go?
Right.
So no. So that's when I hired a coach, and literally within 5 months, I dropped that weight.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing my two-a-day workouts. It wasn't doing keto and blowing and drinking my bone broth in the morning and blowing into I had that keto mojo or whatever. I forget what
Yep.
it was like. It was a thing where you could measure your ketones, and I would do the
Sounds.
blood sticks. Like it was pretty so I bragged, I bragged to my coach. I'm like, yeah, I'm like 4.6 on ketones. I forget what it was exactly, but he's like, okay, cool story.
He's like, cool, let's actually not do any of this and do exactly the opposite. And I think that's so often, we have, worked with so many women in this perimenopause, menopause state, and they come into our program and we do the exact opposite of what they've been doing. And it's such a mind fuck, for lack of better words, because they're like, no, this can't be the way. This can't be the way. This is the way that everybody's taught me not to do things. And we think less is more, eat less, work out more. Maybe we need that magical supplement, some influencers, and it's about, being metabolically healthier, right? There's obviously a huge hormonal element, but your cortisol, is a huge one when you get into menopause too. You mentioned some, adrenal issues, your insulin sensitivity changes, your cortisol sensitivity changes. So you kind of have to adapt to that. So that's definitely a huge shift, especially because, people going into menopause grew up in this fat is bad, carbs are bad. You know what I mean? Jazzercise cycle era, so it's like we've just been beating our bodies for so long. It finally is like, if you don't listen to me, I'm just going to keep shutting down, you know? So I do want to tap because I think so many women resonate with your story. Um, for you, what were the biggest changes that you saw when you shifted, like how you actually shifted your body out of this, more chronic inflammation stage? And what were the things that you found really worked for you and the things that you thought would really work for you that maybe didn't?
Yeah, so the first thing that we did was adjust the amount of cardio that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened to be too where so I was a spin instructor, like I was getting paid to work out, like ultimate, like I have to get paid to work out. So I trimmed down some of my spin classes and just kind of started teaching more like on the bike rather than like doing it hard. Cause I mean, my goal was to burn at least, cause I did a 30-minute spin and then boot camp after. And so
Oh my
my
God.
goal was we're not getting off this bike. Like none of you mofos are getting off until we burn 400 calories. And then we'll go into the next room, you
My
know,
God.
like your ass off for 30 minutes. So I had to let go of that mentality of like burning because and then I was also very much tied into this workout was also how I was going to earn my food for the day.
Yes.
So it was that having that mindset was that like it's so black and white. Like if you put in $100, into the bank, then you can withdraw, that at a later time. And so that's very much what I was doing. And
Mm.
so it took a while to undo that. I mean, we're talking like 20 a good 20 years of habits of things that I knew to be true about because I had evidence that this worked, right?
Yes.
You used to be able to just take on another spin class,
Yeah.
eat salads, and it would work. Um, so very much I was in that mindset that I had to burn to earn and earn to
Mm.
burn. And so that was definitely my thinking. I mean, I remember doing Thanksgiving, like it was like, we are not, again, we're not leaving this room until 1,000 calories so that we can eat, so that we can enjoy the day, so it was really messed up. It was really hard to get out of that mindset because I think when something isn't working, we almost need that physicality, that thing
Mhm.
that we're doing something, and
Mhm.
so it's just crazy that so he took down my cardio knowing I was a gym rat. I wanted to build muscle and find why am I not able to build muscle, you
Yeah.
know? So 5 days a week in the gym with a targeted strength training program, right? Just that.
Hmm.
Then pairing the nutrition with that as well. So we did identify the fact that I wasn't under eating. with with let me back up. That I was not in an overall caloric deficit to lose weight. So
Yeah.
I was during the week. I
Mhm.
was, oh, definitely on Monday. Wednesday, Thursday, right? I was a bartender. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? It was like let loose, right? And then Saturday felt like shit. And then Sunday, like, well, we got one more day of this before we start all over again on Monday. I don't think that I'm the only one that has done this little
Right.
cycle, but it was, and this is like one of my mottos now, it's not your weekend that's the problem. And it was, right? But it's not, it's the week
Yeah.
that's the problem. And um, so when he started with me, I kind of learned that you kind of need to start women in a kind of a reverse diet.
Yes.
We did not do that with me. I did not need a reverse diet. I just needed to up my weekly calories and even those out and then stay in that overall deficit. So I didn't do the whole reverse diet thing because I really wasn't.
And I think just so people know what that means, because they might not like understand what a reverse diet is pretty much slowly increasing your calories to where your perceived maintenance is. For probably, I don't know about your client, like 80% of clients that have come into me are probably under eating. And we do need to metabolically get them healthier, increase their calories. But a lot of people fall into what you were saying, where it's like, we're eating 1,200, doing really good during the week, and then, eating like it. 3,000 calories on the weekend, wondering why we can't lose weight. And it's not just what you do, it's also just the mindset going into the weekend too, right? It's just like, we kind of have this fuck it mindset, right? I did really good this week. And then your body literally is hungry. It's like, wait, I need these calories. I need it to survive. So you're gonna naturally want to increase, obviously social, things like that. So that's kind of what a reverse diet is. But like Kathy said, she just really needed to get a little bit more honest with how much she was eating and actually go into a deficit. And I'm really glad you brought that up too. So continue.
Yeah. Um, I will say for the most part, like that wasn't the approach that was taken with me. I definitely feel like I could have used that at the time. My coach didn't do that with me, but I will say most of my ladies do start in a
Yeah.
reverse diet just to see how does it feel to just eat. So we went right very much into a 1,400 calorie diet. That was
Yeah.
that was
Interesting.
what I needed, so to lose. So, was it? I don't think it was that low. I think we ended up getting it. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I just remember we did go into a deficit. So, and just those habits, like over on the weekends, like really highlighted that. So,
Yeah, I think when you get honest, like I mean, part of like having a coach is incredible, right? Because they can see your blind spots, they can call you out lovingly, they can understand the mindset of why we maybe have these, patterns, which is a big problem. But and also just everybody's so different, right? So for you going in, somebody might be hearing this and be like, "Oh, well, I'm already eating 1,400 calories. Why can't I lose weight?" It's like you might need to take a different approach, right? Or somebody that has been eating a lot who really, it's not even their body's just carrying a lot of inflammation, right? Maybe they need to work more on like liver and different and high inflammatory foods that they're eating and kind of taking a different approach that's outside of just, calories in, calories out too, Do you work with, do you see that with some of your clients too, as like, hey, we need to take more of like this functional approach outside of just, more calories?
definitely, I'm more like lifestyle modifications more
Yeah.
than I think the biggest thing I see now is stress
Oh my
and
God.
making time for yourself and not making yourself a priority and everybody else comes first. And I don't have time to meal prep and this and that. And it's like, girl, you really have to. And that's like because I became an empty nester. And that's when I was like, I need to do something right for myself here. And that's when I did the coaching thing. Because I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like my youngest went off to college and here I am an empty nester. I'm like, I don't even know what I like.
Yeah.
I don't know what I like to do. And so I'm like, but I do know I don't want to do it fat, you know? So that was like where I took that time, right? I have an opportunity now to focus on myself. And that's very much anti-woman like mom mentality, right? Where we're always trying to take care of, make sure everything is running smoothly, and we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. So making myself a priority, like I don't ever regret doing that or making that investment, and then like I can double down on that. So I think that's one of the biggest things and that's like just having that mindset and making yourself a priority, but lowering your stress load. Because if you are stressed AF going through menopause, you will make those symptoms worse. You will absolutely
Mm.
make this worse. That was what was going on with me. I didn't know that my hormones were tanking. I had no idea. Like
Yeah.
was going on. And so I was exacerbating that with all of my tricks, right? Doing way too much activity, eating super low on the weekend, not giving my body the nutrients that it needed, and then hammering it with expecting it to be able to perform with all this cardio. And then on the weekends, like treating it like a dumpster and just putting it like all this stuff in there that it can't. It's like, thanks, what do you want me to do with this meatball sub and Cosmo? there's there's no nutrients here that we can really use. So.
That's hysterical. And so true. I mean, I think something that people don't talk about is this thing called metabolic flexibility and how you can actually like train your body to be more flexible so it can tolerate those things on the weekends if you wanted it, but it has to be in a very strategic way. Your body has to like trust you again. And for most of our bodies, they're like, I'm kind of done with all your nonsense. You're stressing me out. I'm gonna start shutting down. Um, I would love to know your mindset on how you coach people through mindset around stress, because this is a big topic. We talk about a lot. Chronic stress is at the root of probably every single person's issue, but most people say, I don't feel stressed.
I
I'm not
live
stressed.
breakfast. Yeah. Um, it's if I wish I knew. Because I think you have to be ready, to make that shift or even see that you're stressed. And so really it's just again having the conversation with the clients and see like what is their lifestyle like? How do they set that up? How can they carve time for themselves? I think like I didn't do this with my kids, but like it was like you pick one fucking sport because I can't drive you all over this. I can't drive you all over town. It's one, and now
Yeah.
like you're what are you doing? You're raising an athlete and then a ballet like aficionado and then a music like come on, so we're stressing the hell out of our kids right now. Like, and I see that but like you're taking this on. This was your choice. Your kids probably don't even want to do all this stuff. Well, I don't want them sitting there playing video games. Then figure something else out. But it's like, so we way over schedule ourselves. We don't give ourselves enough downtime. And so that's usually where we start. Where can we buy some time back for you? A lot of times, let's take out some of your workouts. How about that? Like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
buy some time back from there. And then how can we like be less busy and get more time? So obviously it's harder when you have kids to do that. But I have some clients that I'm working with that have little kids, and I'm like, who are we serving? Like across the board, like who is getting served by doing all of this stuff?
Yeah.
So this is setting them up because time time just goes. We don't have a lot of time, but you can make time. You can find time. And so I had one woman, she quit her job.
Yeah. I've had a
She
few
quit
of
her
those.
job. So she's like I just can't do this anymore. So
What's crazy, I've had clients that have either retired, quit their jobs, changed careers, and suddenly they drop 20 pounds. And it's like, you didn't think stress was really playing a big part, but sometimes we need that realization that a lot of our environment is keeping us stuck too. And so that's why it's so important with nervous system work or to like chill. It's like you have to let your body learn to trust you again, and to find balance, even if it's in 5 minutes to yourself, 10 minutes to yourself. I think oftentimes we view it as it not being productive enough. I'm not being productive. I'm not doing something, time's wasting. I only have so many hours in the day, but it's like, your body is only has so much fuel, right?
yeah,
Before it burns out, crashes and burns, right?
you need to schedule that downtime, just like you would a hair appointment or
Yep.
something. Like, so I typically don't do anything between 2 and 3. Like, it's like, sorry,
Yep.
no, nope, I'm busy. Yeah, I'm busy taking a nap.
Hey, good.
I've done content, I've done stuff, I've done Zoom meetings. I just need a minute for myself here. So, but like, we're so overscheduled. We're not even giving ourselves time to eat. Like, so basic parenting. Like, would you send your kid to school? Like, here's a cup of coffee. Hurry up. Hurry up. Go. You'll be just. We'll get some food when we get home at 2:30. Like, but we do that to ourselves. you know?
Oh,
It's just
that-
carving the time. Again, it comes to the mom guilt and the selfishness and like, God forbid I take an hour for myself to take a nap. It doesn't have to be an hour, guys. Like, but you gotta make yourself a priority.
mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the underlying issues is that time crunch and the stress.
100%. 100%. And really you have to rewire your nervous system, right? Like literally rewire years, if not decades of, thinking it has to be this way. And I think so often when people, come into a program, let's say yours is, I don't know if yours is like 12 weeks or, 6 months or whatever. It's like, we need to push harder. We only have so much time. I need to be doing more. And it's like, what if I told you to do less? And they're like, but I didn't pay you to do that. I didn't pay you to do that. I paid you for a result. It's like, to get the result, you have to maybe do things a little different than you wanted, but there's so much stress and pressure on yourself to achieve X goal in X time. You know what I mean? Whether that's with the coach or not. But I don't know if you find that with your clients too. And it's, they dig them into a deeper hole. I tell some clients, you probably say something similar. It's like, if in order to achieve a result that you've never had, we have to do things that you have never done. And that's tough.
It's tough to hear. It's tough to, but I have that expectation up front. I'm like, this is what's going on. This is probably going to be 9 months. It's probably going to be 6 to 9 months. Let's start with 3 months to see if we're even going to be a good fit to work together.
Yeah.
So everybody off in 3 months. So there's never an expectation that you're going to get your results in 3 months. But I also want to like to see if they're going to be a good fit. I don't want to work with somebody who's not going to do their shit.
Yeah, that's true though.
So let's see, like, I know I can help, I just, there's some certain expectations, there's some things that you would have to do, but if you can't give yourself some time, if you can't, do some basic meal prep, whatever the issue is, we don't know what the problem is until they come in.
Yeah.
No idea. So it's like, it's going to take a little, it's going to take some time, like you said, to undo some things. And then when you set yourself up metabolically, like you were saying, then you can do so much. Your
Mm.
body will say, thank you, and do the thing that you want it to do. And then we can start talking about mindset and is being 20 pounds lighter the thing that is the most thing that you want? I know that didn't make sense, but I'm sure you know
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes we also think we know what we want, and it's really not the thing, it's also the feeling, right? And so it's like, I think something that's really difficult for some clients to wrap their head around is you can have that feeling without being 20 pounds lighter. Let's create that feeling in safety in your body and your mind first, and then we're going to keep working on all of the things in the physical as well. But like so often, I feel like we chase after a number on the scale. And even when you get there, I mean, I'll tell you, probably most people don't feel any happier with their lives when they reach that number, right? And so it's like creating that happiness, that safety, but also just that, like, energy again. Do you have the energy to, hang out with your kids again? Do you have a sex drive, right? Because that's usually like tanked. There's so many different ways to measure progress outside of just like oh, my scale's not moving, right?
Yeah, so you're 20 pounds lighter, but you don't go to the bathroom every day. You have zero energy. You're not sleeping. You're stressed
Yeah.
as your hair is falling out. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't think like, let's get you feeling amazing first and then have your body respond. So that's kind of the approach that we take. But
Yeah.
again, it's like, it's different for everybody. So
100%. I think that bio-individual approach is so important, not only with lifestyle, with the mindset, with where you should start with your nutrition. Supplements have their time and place. Do you work with any people that are on, BHRT, HRT, or anything like that?
oh yeah, yeah. We coach them. Well, I don't coach them through that, but I'm on it. You know,
Yeah.
as soon as so it was from Sam Miller, right? We worked with Sam Miller and his and I agree with this is once you start having symptoms, you kind of want to you don't want to go on HRT to prevent the symptoms, but you also don't want to you don't want them to go on too long either, where it's too
Mhm.
late, right? So you kind of want to kind of hop on board. There's no like perfect time, but I think like for me, I knew it was time. So I didn't go on HRT until I was 52, 53. So
Mhm.
I had to fix my thyroid first. So
Oh,
I definitely had a thyroid issue, which that became even more apparent.
yeah.
This was after I had worked with my coach, and all of a sudden it's this thyroid issue that was brought on by a stress. And like everybody's stress is different, but we sold our house. That was the fall of COVID. We sold the house, and then my cat died, which was my for
Mm.
15 years, and I was like, so it was just a lot of stress. And so again, here we go with the hair loss, but I was freezing. I would wake up. I'm a gym rat, right? I would wake up, get dressed, and then just fall asleep back on the bed. And I was like, this isn't right, and then I get home, or I drag myself to the gym and then just take a nap. I was like, so I had to fix that first. But the question about HRT is you can't really get ahead of the symptoms because you have to have the symptoms, you know.
Yeah.
So, right, but before they get so bad. And so like I thought I knew maybe what hot flash was, but when I had my first hot flash, I was like, oh, that's
This
what
is
they're
it.
talking about. This is a hot flash. And I'm like, okay, so let's see what happens. And like literally right from there, like sleep, it I was sleeping okay, but from there it was like really getting bad. So my sleep was getting interrupted because of the waking up just drenched and cold because I'm sweaty and now I'm cold. So I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing we are not doing this. And so it was really hard for me to get HRT. My doctor wouldn't talk
Mm.
about it. So I was like, I just contacted Winona. I'm like, they're like an online company. I'm like, all right, you don't even fill out anything. You fill out there's no blood work or anything like that. It's based on symptoms.
Interesting.
And I got the patch. They recommended DHEA, and then I also got progesterone, oral progesterone. So I'm like, bring it on, right? It's like $300, I
Yeah,
think.
wow.
I forget how much it was exactly. But it wasn't cheap, like to get this, but it was like, I'm like, I need to make this investment. And so I started on that, and literally right away, hot flashes were gone. And then within a week, I'm sleeping like a baby. So
Wow.
it was really good. I did gain probably about 5 to 7 pounds on that in like 6 weeks.
Mm.
My breasts were so tender. It was like almost like PMS symptoms, but like so bloated and just really, I was just full. And I felt like almost like Braxton Hicks. Like it
Mm.
would just get so tight and crampy there, right? I was like, all right. But that went away. So that was definitely the side effects going away, and having that as a side effect, I think really freaks women out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't love it, but I was like it should go away, and it did. So
Yeah, I think HRT or BHRT is I think it's very unique for the individual. It could have been like, your body just had a little too much progesterone now right off the bat, causing some of that. But I think um it can be real godsend. There's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Negativity around, HRT. People want to hush hush about it, and it's like, no, this can be a really beautiful thing for people as long as you're doing also the right things to support your body as well. And that's what you were doing with your coach. I think a lot of people think it's the miracle cure without doing any of the work. Oh, I'm just going to go on HRT and everything's going to be magically fine again. And it's not, and I think that's, I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit on just how important it is that, like, yes, if this helps, fantastic. We still have to do the other work too.
absolutely. Yeah, people think if, oh well, let me just balance my hormones, right? Because that's what everybody's saying. Your hormones are in balance, right? Or you have a parasite, or there's a lot of bullshit out there, right? That people are going to take this thread and then pull that, like this is what's wrong with you. It's not so as far as taking, you taking HRT to lose weight, right? It is not going to help you lose weight. That is
Yeah.
not what it's for. But when you're not having those symptoms anymore, it's going to make it easier. So yeah, so having, and what is balanced hormones? Like, man, we don't have, we've never had balanced hormones. We've always been in a flux.
Yeah.
So HRT is amazing because now we're just at this steady, like being in menopause is amazing because
Yeah.
we don't have that anymore. So this is probably the first time in your life you're actually going to have like hormones, but that's not the way the body works. There's homeostasis, yes, but we're always in some sort of a flux. That's how we adapt. That's normal. So you're never going to have this balanced hormone thing. But again, lifestyle, if you're not sleeping well, you're not going to be able to lose weight, or you're going to have a harder time. If you're not sleeping and you have a ton of stress, it just creates that environment. You're always hungry, you're always snacking. That's kind of where that comes from. You don't make the best decisions. We're not wanting chicken and rice and broccoli. We want the sweets. That's where the cravings come from for the sweets. It's that fast energy.
Yeah.
And um and coffee, like coffee's not a meal, ladies. It's just not.
Yeah. Oh,
If
true.
you need coffee to get through the day, then there's something going on, right? We need to address lifestyle and then training too, and just have it look at training, because I never would do yoga, and like now it's my favorite part of, because my 2 yoga classes, because I can just sit there and do a little bit of yoga, but more, this is very restorative
Yeah.
yoga that I go to with sound bath and everything. I freaking love it. But 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been caught dead on a yoga mat. Like I would have been like, I can't sit there. I got too much to do. Wait a minute. Did I turn off the oven? Shoot, what's going on? And then, so I would do the yoga class, but then when it was time for Shavasana, right? The best part, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm rolling up my mat. I'm outie. Because it
Oh.
match this, I need to do, and so it's really hard to switch that off. So stress, ladies, you have to manage it. You're never going to just not have stress, but the way that you manage it is absolutely up to you. So
That's hilarious about the yoga. I was the same way. And yeah, it's not about it's you're never not going to have stress. It's how your body reacts to it and how your body can handle that stress. And that's very, very different, you know. And you have to train it, right? You got to rewire it.
yeah,
So I love that you said that about yoga because so many people are like, yoga's a waste of time. Mm.
I know. Yeah, I know. That it's like,
Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many clients move from, weight training 5, 6 days a week down to yoga twice a week and drop 20 pounds, 30 pounds. And I've seen people that do need to metabolically, they need to weight train menopause. That is very important too. Go from doing nothing to weight training and losing that too. So it's, that's why having, either a coach or just more bio individuality in your program is really important because everybody's different. Um, if you could kind of wrap up with maybe 3 or 4 of like your favorite tips if you were to give a client that was maybe going through perimenopause, menopause, like just to kind of give them a little bit of help, hope, whatever you want to do. What would you say?
um, I guess, I use nutrition first. And
Yep.
so really seeing like what's coming in, like as far as macros goes, like having a balanced approach and not like trying to give up carbs or cut out fruit because of sugar or anything like that. So really having a balanced approach. I think that starts with like doing some kind of tracking to see what is actually coming in and are we getting enough of the things that we need. So I definitely like balanced. So when I see women coming in, the first thing that I'm having them do, because it's just such a big rock and it's such an easy thing to do, is see how much protein are we getting in for each day, and just tracking that, see where we are in calories too, because that's important. And so I typically see women are eating like 50 to 70 grams of protein, and then carbs or like, all of it depends, right? It really kind of depends. But like, well, if I eat that protein, then I go over my calories. I'm like, well, that's a problem, because that means you're not eating enough calories, so that's like just that basis. So um I don't think you necessarily need a coach for this. You can just see you can calculate what is your body's needs to maintain your ideal weight, your ideal realistic weight, right? And see what is that number. I think you're going to be surprised. It's going to be anywhere from around the 2000s. So it depends on how tall you are or how short you are. And entertain the thought of this is what your body needs. This is the amount of calories you could be getting away with. And so if it's a huge gap, then we can identify we're just not eating enough and giving your body what it needs, and then having that protein. So that's where we start. And literally, because it works so fast, we see body composition changing there. Now, in that process is how do we do that, right? Because then it's a lot of, but I can't because of this, but I can't So we got to address all of that stuff, and that's the lifestyle stuff. So that stuff pops up. So what is it that you can't? You don't have time, you don't know how, or we have consumed way too much information and now we don't know what to do because we're paralyzed with all the information that we have in your mind. And so that's where a coach comes in again to distill what is the thing that's going to give you the biggest wins to start with, and just kind of identifying that. But to do this for yourself, like look at your lifestyle, see what can you say no to instead of saying yes to everything. Say yes to yourself. Take care of yourself first so that you can take care of everybody else. And this is one of the hallmarks of the menopausal woman is you're dealing with kids and you're dealing with parents, aging parents, and then you still have your job, but you're also the chef of the home, and then you're also the housekeeper. So start delegating that shit, or don't be so concerned when your husband doesn't load the dishwasher right, because he'll do it, he just won't do it right. And you have to be like, it's okay. Shut that fucking thing and let it run.
They're killing me. Oh, I think a lot of women are going to be laughing and just be like, "Yep, I get that." I love that. Thank you so much. I think that this was really relatable for so many women. I'm so glad that you came on. Tell people where they can find you.
I'm on everywhere. Um, my Kathy Catalyst, so Kathy with a K and then Catalyst with a K. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I am on Facebook as well. If you want to join a community of like-minded women, I do have a free Facebook group that's called the No BS Menopause Secrets Group. So that's it's fun. We have little challenges in there every so often, but more it's about having conversations. I will have, and Shannon, you should come in and talk.
I would
We'll
love to.
set up, and so I'll have some usually some live classes that we do in there, but it's just nice to have a community of women that are kind of going through this. It's funny because somebody will introduce themselves and say, oh, is anybody else feeling like this? I'm like, girl, yeah. So having that tribe. So
I love that. I think that's so important for anybody's health journey, but particularly in this, to feel not so alone. So wonderful. Please go follow her. Facebook group is amazing. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And um, if you guys thought this was helpful, would love for you to share with some other menopause friends that could utilize some of the info here. And till next time. Bye.